Um, Again, a good game. I thought our guys played really hard. Um, Kind of the learning maturity of getting a lead, and then forgetting about the defensive end of the floor. Um, but again, our guys played hard. Just got to put a complete game together. And like I told them, when we get that lead, that's when you got to crank it up on the defensive end. It's not the time to get easy buckets and got to limit those turnovers in transition. But again, our goal is to win and to fill the arena back up. And it was good. I'm happy to see the muss and the support. Hopefully that can continue to gain. We had President Taylor Randall. We've had great support from the university, and yeah, that's the goal. A good win for us tonight. Still a lot of things to learn from and get better at. But yeah, I game in 2 more days, so.
Alex, your team had made some progress on the defensive side of the ball the last few games. Tonight, there was moments, like you said, that they kind of just switch. Was it switches causing problems? Was there something different that allowed them to kind of get behind you guys that kind of where you guys got lost?
I think I tell our guys all the time, and like especially the last couple days, is to not beat ourselves. And I think it's just just a mindset of how I fit into on the court with the other 4 guys and what my job is. And I think the last 2 games we started well, executed the game plan, and then it starts to work, and then we end up turnovers, or we just kind of lose that mental focus on our job and how we fit into the team. We're getting better at it, but that's what I tell them all the time. That's what good teams do: is you get the lead and then you crank it up, especially on the defensive side. Doesn't mean, I remember TB went for the steal and we kind of go for the home run instead of just being sound. So, but again, we started the game well, executed the game plan, and we got the lead early.
In both halves tonight, you had some big threes to start off, and I think you hit season high 12 threes. Just how important were those 3-pointers to be able to get you off to a start in both halves?
The best part about them early on is they were assisted. And we always tell them that the threes, when they come on, as you change sides of the floor, as you get to the third side, that's usually a much better shot. But, at any level you play, and when the threes are assisted, it's a great shot, and it kind of, brings the team together. And I say all the time, it's not the guy who passes it or the guy that makes it. It's the other guys that end up getting the threes as well. But and again, we kind of lose our patience and try to make things happen on the first side of the floor. But yeah, we had some great threes early on, and spaced and played with the pass well.
Hey, Coach, you guys got beat in points in the paint tonight, just pretty decently. I guess just kind of what's your plan going forward there? Do you think it's maybe a lack of physicality, or kind of what's your plan going forward to improve that?
They had, their 3 guards coming in tonight averaged 50 points combined. So we were aggressive with them on the pick and roll. So I think mostly it was the blockouts, offensive rebound. I think mostly the points in the paint, and then just missed assignments on the weak side. Again, going back to that mental focus and concentration of my role, because we were, like I said, we wanted to pressure them at the point, and which left us vulnerable underneath if somebody forgot their assignment. It makes it hard to rebound as well. But I think we executed pretty well for most of the night.
Alex, you only had 9 bench points tonight from your team. What do you need to see from those guys that are coming off the bench to, maybe take some pressure off of your starting 5?
It's funny because I think my message to the team is I'm not worried about scoring. We got to take care of the other end, and then that'll work out. I think we can score off our defense is what I'm trying to tell them. I think that's what we're fighting right now, because we get the lead, and I think, guys, they're naturally, it's human nature. Your mind goes to scoring. So, but I'm truly not worried about the bench points. We're still figuring out a rotation. James is his second game back. There's a lot of different lineups that we might have to use that nobody's seen yet.
In these types of games, you're expected to beat these opponents pretty well, but you're getting an entirely new roster. How much of that is just a component of these guys need time to gel and kind of get into a rhythm together, and also just learning to kind of fight through adversity, if that makes sense?
Yeah, no, it's a big deal, and it's not just it's the staff's new, the players are new, and it's something that you probably don't want to have every year because it takes time. And then also, winning, you winning's something that you learn how to do. And I think we're learning that. And coaches and players, some of us have won other places, but this is different and new for me. But winning is actually something that you have to learn how to do. So we're kind of going through that, and it's more difficult with everybody being new.
So I have a two-part question for you. Jakai and Elijah were both dressed tonight. What do those two need to do to get into the rotation? And then what is the status update on EB and where he's at?
I think EB's getting closer. I'm not sure the exact date. He's been ramping up in practice. He's getting, I think, close to being able to go 5-on-5 full court. And Jakai and Elijah, the same thing I just said about everybody else. How you get on the court is what's my role, and the theme we've had all year is team together. So, but yeah, I think that they will have their opportunity will come, and they need to be ready for it.
TB, you hit 5 3-pointers today. This whole season, you'd only hit 1. What was just kind of going well for you tonight, and being able to kind of have that kind of shooting?
Just coach being super confident in me to keep shooting. Obviously I started out like 1 for 11 or something like that, maybe even 1 for 15. But coach was just saying, like, instilling confidence into me every single day. Obviously I got confidence myself, but it hits different missing as much threes as I did, and then coach still being in practice or after the game saying, like, keep shooting it. I'm not telling you not to shoot shots. So obviously the coaching staff and then my teammates, they tell me to keep shooting even if they're missing shots. I know I tell them the same thing. So just overall, my whole team being behind me, and then the fans just hearing, like, once you hear one going, it's like it gives you more confidence to keep shooting more. So really just everybody in general.
Hey guys, this is for both of you. You guys are a pretty new team, right? You've had a couple close games, but you guys have always kind of rallied together and played well. I know it's still really early, but just kind of how confident are you guys, like, as a unit, and how do you feel like you guys can match up against other teams with a little higher level competition?
I think we can match up with any team in the country. I think, as you see, there's times I think our biggest lead was 16, and then it ended up being a close game. And that's kind of like the theme for every single game. And I think we just have the mindset to continue to build off the 16-point lead to make it 20, 25-point lead, and just do that on a consistent basis will prove that we can really be up there with anybody.
I'd say really just, approaching every day with a certain intention to get better, and just paying attention to scouts. We go into scouts every day after each game, and we're really intentional on what we want to do and what we want to get out of it. And coach is just really high detailed on, like, what a player does. So I feel like if we just keep doing that and then work on the things that coach tells us to do, like transition defense, rebounding, and then no low turnovers, I feel like we'd be good against anybody.
Keanu, James ended up with 10 rebounds tonight, some big ones on the offensive side as well. Just the effort that he brings to that end, especially with you being, the leading rebounder on this team. What does that do, that effort that you see out of him, do for this team?
The effort that he brings, just it's a lot more energy and a lot more focus that other teams have to do on their side of the glass, and that allows me to be able to go in and swoop in. And then same thing with our guards, because if the two bigs are worried about me and James, that's where, like, I think Don had a game where he had 9 rebounds, and it's things like that where if we're all firing on the same cylinder, then everyone gets what they want.
Kenny, you guys have improved at times in defense, and then other times, like tonight, you got a guy behind you. Like, where are some of the lapses, and kind of where do some of those things kind of slip in?
I just think focus, and I also think because we're only 4 games into the season, and it's a completely new roster. Like, it's not an excuse or anything, but not that preseason doesn't matter. But I think the thing that matters the most is conference play, and later in March. So I think it's good to get those things out the way now, rather than whenever standings come out and rankings, whatever.
For both of you, we got to talk to Chile yesterday, and he said that defensively gelling is the hardest thing when you guys have such a new roster. Where would you two say you guys are in terms of gelling and being a cohesive unit on defense?
I'd say we've been figuring it out. We've been getting better every single day. Obviously, the first couple games where we struggled in transition defense. So that was a big key factor that we tried to hit on in practice. I feel like we got better at that. I think we did that. I think we did pretty well today in transition D actually. And then obviously just staying in front of our man and getting a stop, staying down on a lot of shot fakes. A lot of players we played against have been a lot of shot figures. So just being well-rounded as a full defensive unit, because obviously one person can't do it, and then obviously communication, that's the number one thing coach says, other than the key factors of getting a stop. So we just got to talk to each other and keep communicating on the floor.
Alex said you guys have to learn how to win, right? Like you can't just guarantee wins, especially against lower level opponents. Will say, what do these types of games where they've been a little bit closer than maybe you would expect do to help you guys, especially as you're acclimating and growing and gelling together as a team when you just are all pretty new to each other?
I think even though they're close games at the end when they really shouldn't be, it's teaching us how to be able to finish games, even though we shouldn't really be in the situation to where we need this learning experience from it. But I think we are learning how to finish games.
And then I'd say I'm coming from the other side of things. So I was in these team shoes last year. So those teams coming in, they're hungry. They're looking for an upset win. All these teams that we play, they want this. So I feel like that just gives us more motivation to want to win the game, because obviously they have a lot of motivation coming in. But I think it just gives us more of a just punch them in the mouth and just get the win. Obviously we've cut a couple close, but we're 5-0, so we've been able to pull out games, and I feel like I'm proud of the team that we've been able to do that.